Anyway, let's have a look at this video. I'm sure there'll be plenty to say. It's always fun when we see someone who is new to Linux. What are they running? Is that KDE? What is this here? No, that was the actual dub.
This is a Dell XPS from 2021. It's sleek, it's thin, and
it is
cost
a laptop.
me a couple $1,000s, but a couple months ago, it stopped working. It would just get stuck on the boot.
Have you considered... Oh my god. Oh my god. Have you considered cleaning your screen before you make a video? Holy! That is rough.
Screen and just shut off constantly. I figured it was a battery issue and I tossed it aside in the closet. But there was one last hope for it, and that's with Linux. Now, in another video where I finally quit Windows to go to Mac, many of you told me that Linux would have been easier and free.
True.
Just put it on an unused PC, you said. And so I had an idea, and I used.
Across all the reactions, I've seen Brodie is extremely sensitive to dirty screens. No, my screens aren't always clean. But if I'm gonna show my screen in a video, I'm gonna spend like 3 minutes just cleaning it.
This laptop for it. And what happened after that was actually amazing.
I've been using Linux for the past month now, and honestly, it's sort of awesome.
So is Linux going to bring life back into my old laptop? Did I just waste money by switching to Mac? Or is this all going to be a huge waste of time? A couple of weeks ago, I finally quit Windows. Windows 11 kept showing me ads and unwanted content in the taskbar, on the startup screen, and everywhere else it could. Now, if I wanted content, I would go to YouTube, maybe even TikTok if I was desperate.
No,
but not on my operating
Never do
system.
that.
So I finally broke. I couldn't handle it anymore, and I quit it for good. I wanted control of my device, not to be controlled by it. So I bought a refurbished MacBook Air for a couple $100s, thinking it would be
I want to be in control of my device. I don't want to be controlled by my device. I bought a Mac. Sure. Yeah, sure. Why not?
my primary OS, but that didn't come without problems. Despite that, I was happy with my Switch. My new to me Mac could do everything I wanted it to, with the perk of being ultra portable too. But after releasing a video on it,
I don't really get the whole, like, maybe this is a me thing. I've never really cared about an ultra lightweight laptop. Like, if a laptop's gonna be like 3 kilos, if a laptop's gonna be 5 kilos, I don't know, for me it's never been that big of a deal. I get it. I do get it. But at the same time, it's just never, like, carrying a bit of extra weight's never been a thing that I really care about. One of the things Prime said about the Pewds video is that it's crazy that it does what I tell it to do. That's now a selling point instead of being normal. Yeah, that is kind of sad.
My happiness transformed into uncertainty. Because now everyone was saying Linux would have given me what I wanted and more. For free.
AKA Primo
Had I made
Jam,
a
yes.
mistake? I've tried Linux Ubuntu more than 10 years ago, but I quit it after about 30 seconds only to come run.
Fair. If you tried it 10 years ago, like, that's... I know there are people daily driving Linux back then, but I think Linux, for the regular person, hasn't really been in a daily drivable state, I would say, until about the past 2 or so years. Like, legitimately in an actual really good state. And there's still problems, and it's still not perfect, but anyone who stuck around, like, 10 plus years ago, like, good for you, because, like, there's a lot of things that were not there yet.
Running back to Windows. I couldn't use the command line, but hundreds of anonymous comments telling me Linux is better can't be wrong, right? So now I'm asking myself, is Linux the right operating system for me? Or am I about to discover...
is she running Mint? Oh, is that where we're going here?
For exactly why it's free. Now, the only problem is, well, actually, there are a lot of problems. The first is that I'm not a tech person. I have no IT background or programming background.
What does she do on her channel? I've never seen her stuff before. Oh, okay, so she's like consumer tech. And Cheetos. Okay, yeah, like general consumer, yeah, okay, I see it. Okay, fair enough.
I have a STEM background in science. So the second is, how does one just start using Linux? After all, one does not simply walk into Mordor. Everyone acts like Linux is this singular thing, like Windows or Mac, but it's not. Linux is a collection of hundreds of different peanut butter brands.
All of them don't matter, just pick, like, Fedora or Ubuntu. Do you think Wayland makes Linux more usable for the average PC user? Right now? God, no. I think... Okay, here's the thing with Wayland. Wayland is a necessary step, but there are problems that need to be resolved still. And in the long run, the answer is yes, it is going to be better. Right now, though, you still have a number of developers holding back protocols. We talked about it earlier, that there's not a protocol for setting your primary monitor. Yeah, most people don't care at the end of the day. But I think from a technical perspective, Wayland is a necessary step. It's just, there's some more steps to be made after that.
AKA distros, where Windows is a specific type of almond butter and Mac is another very specific type of macadamia nut butter. I'm getting hungry.
So then Wayland isn't part of your criteria for what made Linux usable in the past 2 years. I think most of what it is just general availability of software. We've seen a lot more flat packs be available, making it so users of any distro can get up-to-date software. We've seen a lot more... Well, with the push to Wayland, a lot of the stuff with Wayland has been getting addressed. Like, when you were in that, like, weird... Okay, the problem that we had for a while is you had a lot of distros that were defaulting to Wayland, and that means you're going to have a bad experience if you're on an NVIDIA card. You're going to have a bad experience, especially if you go 5 years ago, you're going to have a bad experience just on anything. It's not until fairly recently that Wayland sort of got into like that competitive level with X11, where there's still issues, but the issues are like fewer and far, like there's a lot less issues there, is what I'm trying to say. But like, especially with like Fedora's been defaulting to Wayland since 2016. If you had no idea what Wayland or X11 was, and your first distro was Fedora, and you're an NVIDIA GPU user, your experience is gonna suck. Like, it's going to be god-awful. You're going to uninstall it in, like, 5 minutes, because you're just not going to have a working GPU.
So I'm here, looking at all the different distros, wondering, which one do I pick? Clearly, whoever said put it on an unused PC didn't specify what it even was. Do
Ubuntu.
I install Ubuntu, Mint, Arch, Fedora? Someone just tell me what to pick.
Yes. Do Arch. That would be funny.
And after reading a bunch of Google search results and Reddit posts, I'm left more confused than ever. The most common answers were, just pick the one that's good for your needs. Wow, thanks. If I knew which one was good for me,
just pick
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu.
Installed it already. But when confused,
just pick Ubuntu.
Just follow the herd, right?
Yes.
And after constant research
Ubuntu.
and deliberation and following the AI overview, I picked Mint because everyone likes it, and I sure hope I made
Mint
the
is a totally reasonable first suggestion.
Decision. It's supposed to be like Windows, very user-friendly and work right out of the box. Easy enough. Boy, was I wrong. When you open up the Mint website, you're hit with another difficult choice. There's 3 versions. A sleek, modern, and innovative Cinnamon edition. A light, simple, and efficient XFIS edition.
Now that is how... I will respect the fact that she has no fucking clue how to say it.
A class...
Now... She's gonna say mate. Is it gonna happen? She's gonna say mate.
And traditional Mate edition.
There we go! Let's go! Mate is the correct way to pronounce it. If you want it to be Mate, put a fucking accent on it.
It's like online dating. Which one has the best description that best matches what I want? You probably can't go wrong with sleek and innovative. It's slick. It's beautiful. It's full of new features.
I do think the marketing here is stupid. What they should do is just say, download this one.
Put that on your dating profile. I dare you. You might get a hit. So Cinnamon it is.
Or put an H on it? I guess that's fair.
ISO file from one of their many.
No, then you're gonna have people saying Matt here.
Hosts, they have a lot. And after some
the way you do this is you pick the one that's in your country. It doesn't matter. That's it. It's just options to where you want to download it.
from one of their many download hosts. They have a lot. And after some copy and pasting, I mean elite terminal hacking skills, I verified that I had a legitimate copy of this distro. So why?
You don't need to do that. That's an extra step that, yes, technically you should verify your ISO. No, but... Okay, honest question. Have you ever actually verified your ISO? And if you have, when was the last time you did it? Never done it. Never. Yeah. I do on occasion. Nah, just the cosmic once. I don't even know how. It made sense. It made a lot more sense back when we didn't have HTTPS for every website. Now that sites are encrypted, it doesn't really matter anymore. It really doesn't.
Do you need that, you ask? Because it's the internet. And there's a possibility that a bad actor somewhere on the internet modified this image so it's broken or even dangerous.
Technically, you're not really.
Or tracking my keystrokes. Now that I know it's legit, it's time to write it to a USB drive I found laying around. You just download a program called Balena Etcher, click a couple buttons, and boom!
I've heard really good things about Balena Etcher.
It was on my USB drive. So I got my old laptop, I plugged in the drive using a hub, and then it just worked. Just kidding. You didn't actually expect it to work right away, did you? But I wasn't willing to give up yet.
Why
wouldn't
it
determined
not work?
Not to let Linux beat me, especially not so early.
Is it because the hub?
This is Mint Cinnamon, not the infamously hard to install Arch Linux, maybe, which I'll use maybe later. So I went through various troubleshooting to get my laptop to boot from USB. But after constant keyboard bashing on Delete, Escape, and F12, I finally got it to work by hacking through the mail.
Oh, okay. She just didn't know how to open the UEFI. Okay, fair enough.
Now at this point, I sure hope there wouldn't be more problems ahead for me. After all, this distro just works out of the box. And with various waits and clicks later, I got through the installation process without a hitch. It was surprisingly well put together and looked very polished. I was shocked. It even gave me a slideshow on all the different softwares I could use, like Steam and Discord. But there was one big surprise, and there were 0 ads, no upsells, no promotions, nothing. It felt like freedom. I restarted.
What a crazy idea.
I was using Linux. So first things first.
That fucking one of them, man.
I need to download OBS so I can record and show you what I'm doing. So with Windows and Mac, you install software by downloading these packages in .exe or .dmg files. But with Linux, there's this clean and easy way to install software that doesn't involve any of that.
You can do that on
you
Windows,
open up
on
the
Linux
terminal.
as well.
Elite hacker, by the way.
You're on Mint. You don't need the terminal. You have the software center, whatever it's called. What is it called on Mint? I don't use Mint. Or what's it called on the software store on Cinnamon called?
Hacker. And you type in sudo, which I've learned is like an admin user. I think it stands for super user. You type in apt, which is not apartment, but a program that handles software packages. And the rest, well, you understand the rest. So you type sudo apt install.
I think it's something generic like software manager.
Wow. It's installed, it's ready to go, and I honestly think I'm getting the hang of this. So now that it's installed, there are certain things I need to do.
How did she do all of this? How did she do all of this research on Mint and then never find out that there was a software center? Like she went and did like this digging on how do I verify my ISO and all this stuff, and somehow never came across the software center. I don't know how this has happened.
Useful. Sure, it does work great out of the box, but it's like getting a new phone. You have to change all the settings, install, uninstall programs, and truly customize and optimize it to fit your needs. So I want mine to be similar to my main computer, which means resembling and working like how Mac does. When you're using a new PC, you want to make sure
most guides give you install commands. That's fair.
Things might not run properly. And to do that, there was this thing called an update manager that did it all for me with a click of a button. Just
crazy.
Update.
Welcome to the future.
It installed. So convenient. When I set up a device, I always schedule a nighttime mode. On Windows, I use a program called FLux to make the screen more yellow.
Did she just say FLux? FLux. I have never heard anyone say it like that. Everyone I've seen calls it flux. Right. Sure.
at night so I could go to sleep better. It was a lot easier than I thought though. Mint Cinnamon has something called the night light that sets a schedule and temperature you want your screen to be. I didn't have to do any hacking. So slowly I started changing all the settings so it would resemble my keyboard shortcuts and workflow with Mac. The first was to install a Spotlight Light program called ULauncher. The second was to switch Control and Alt around, and the third is to move the top bar to the left side instead of the right. That's pretty close to Mac, but I'll get into all the customization I can do on Linux soon. But many of you who are switching away from Windows are probably wondering one thing. Can you game on Linux?
No.
Well, like all answers, it depends. I was able.
No, you can't. Well, let's see. Let's open a game. What's a game we have? What's a video game? What's something I have installed? You know, let's see. How long is this going to take to open? It's going to be an update. Okay, we'll skip it. We can open a video game. Celeste? I don't have Celeste installed. You know what? I don't want to open this. This is going to take too long. Schedule 1. There's the game we can open. Drug game. Of course, you need fucking shaders. Video games. I have games installed. I don't need to download more games. Don't do drugs. Drugs are bad. Yes, you can play video games on Linux.
Able to download Steam and Steam games, but I'll test them out later because my laptop just ran out of batteries and I left the charger at home.
Right.
Honestly,
okay.
needed a break from Linux anyways. At that point, it seemed like a promising OS. But there was one question looming over me. Did I really waste hundreds of dollars by switching to Mac instead of just jumping into the unknown of
I don't know
Linux?
what she does. I don't know what she works on.
At our new favorite health food shop because we're training for our first triathlon. And when you're swimming, running, and biking 2 times a week, good food is your best friend. I guess using Linux is a lot like working out. It's frustrating, it's exhausting, but it's also oddly satisfying when you're
When are we getting to the Adobe section of this video? That's a good question.
Successfully playing a game on hard mode.
Maybe she doesn't use Adobe software. It's possible. Maybe she's just gonna like edit on her Mac or something, or on another system.
Pat yourself on the back. But anyways, I got the charger and went back to the office to plug it in. Linux gaming used to not be a real thing, but Steam Play now lets you run Windows-only games.
When did Proton come out? 2018? That sounds right. Maybe it was earlier than that. Because 2013 were the Steam machines. Late 2017? There is no Adobe. She doesn't use Adobe. Wow.
On Linux by using a compatibility layer called
Maybe she
Proton.
pays an editor and doesn't actually care to edit.
It works. Not every game is compatible, but most of them are. So after I made sure my laptop was ready to handle work tasks like Discord and Notion, honestly, it would be crazy if I could just replace my entire work setup with Linux. I mean, would I miss my MacBook? Or would Linux just be so much more superior?
It would be amazing, incredible.
And hours later, my Linux environment was ready for me to switch to it. But there was one big problem. Wait, is this deja vu? Because there's a lot of problems. My laptop setup is designed to work with my Mac, not a Linux laptop. The adapter I use to go from a USB port to 2 HDMI monitors doesn't have software for Linux. And the CowDigit TS3...
Would that need software? I don't see why that would need any... That should just work. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work.
It doesn't work either, despite showing the blue on light. Why doesn't it work? So was this the end? All of that...
I don't see why that wouldn't work. Maybe there's some, UDEV rule that's missing? I don't know what Mint has set up, but, I don't see any reason why that wouldn't work.
hard work and nothing to show for it? Surely someone before me has tried to plug in multiple monitors to their Linux laptop. And they had. In September of 2015, this exact article or forum post, someone had the same problem. It links to the drivers that actually were updated in 2025, which means it's new and it has to work. It would be game changing to use my Linux laptop with my current dual monitor setup. That would be awesome. Now, after messing with the terminal and the UFI menu again, I finally got everything to install.
The UFI menu. I like my UFI menu. Oh, what an awfully low-res picture of Yuffie. Here we go. Here's our Yuffie menu.
The dual monitors worked, but the dock still didn't, and my laptop only has 3 ports. It's not enough to access all my desk accessories. Not to mention, I'm currently connected to internet with Wi-Fi and not a hardwired connection. For my needs, aka uploading huge video files, Wi-Fi just isn't good enough. So, it's back to Google once again. Everyone is saying Linux is about freedom. Freedom feels suspiciously like reading endless Reddit threads and Google posts. But luckily, I found someone who was in my exact situation. A Reddit user from 5 years ago with the exact same laptop as me wanted to connect his Thunderbolt dock as well. And he helpfully outlined outlined his step-by-step process to my elite hacking on the terminal again, and I did.
That explains a lot. It's a Thunderbolt dock. Okay, now I see why you have problems.
Perfect, but I now have 2 external displays and a ton of accessories and a working dock. So the switch from Mac to Linux was actually faster than Windows to Mac, surprisingly. There are so many resources and other people with similar problems as me out there. The internet is such a great place. So I didn't have to give up on Linux after all. But the real question remains, can my Linux laptop become the ultimate work and gaming machine? So despite everything working, for now, I'm hesitant to pack away my MacBook permanently. Mac still feels safer to use, and I 100% know it won't have problems. I'm not sure I can say the same for Linux. I've proved Linux has the ability to do pretty much every work task, but what about gaming? Now, to disclaimer, I'm not an avid gamer, but I do play from time to time, mostly on my Steam.
What does she play? She either plays I don't think there's gonna be an in-between. It's either gonna be like hyper-competitive, like Apex Legends, or it'll be like Stardew Valley. Like there's no in-between.
But Jake sometimes plays at home, and he's super into Cities Skylines right now. It's a city builder game,
base
so
choice.
I'm gonna download that for him. But the moment of truth, will it game? And it does. I mean, it opens the program. It's a little slow considering it's still a laptop. I guess
it's
I have
a shit laptop. Yeah, nothing's gonna save that.
Really low, and then maybe I'll just play a graphically low intensity game like old school RuneScape. But Linux.
Hey, wait, hold up. She's actually incredibly based. She's an OSRS player. Hold up. Let's fucking go. Yes, a 9-year-old game on an old laptop. Yeah, look, it's a shit laptop. Nothing's gonna save a shit laptop. Clearly unrelated, but this reminded me, I use a USB to 3.5 millimeter dongle, the Apple One. It's actually good and very cheap to have both headphones and speakers connected at the same time, and sometimes it doesn't work on boot, and I have to run USB reset on it. Okay,
Play every game out there. Games with anti-cheat systems like Valorant just won't work properly. But at least I know it plays more games than Mac, so I'll put that
This is true!
So was I wrong in switching to Mac instead of going open source with Linux? Will Linux become my daily driver? And more importantly, should you switch to Linux?
Yes.
Now before I can answer all those questions, I want to show you my finished Mint Cinnamon right here. But for some reason, the boot up, I think is really slow. So I'm going to need to learn some ultra hacker things to make
System
it boot up
deanalyze. Watch the PewDiePie video.
It's so pretty. I think one of the things that I didn't expect Linux to be was pretty. At the bottom here, you've got the time and everything.
What? But I was told that Cinnamon looks outdated. But Cinnamon's outdated. No, it doesn't look pretty. No, it looks old. I fucking hate people so much, man. Yeah, Cinnamon looks perfectly fine. It does not look old and outdated. The icons do everything else is fine. Speaking of Cinnamon user, it looks fine to me. Like, I don't know. Like, when I think outdated, I think, like, Windows 95. If something looks like Windows 7, it looks fine to me.
You've got the battery mode here. The battery has actually improved on Linux compared to Windows. Like, it lasts way longer. It tells me exactly how much time
I'm sorry,
I
what
have
was that?
remaining. Compared to battery mode here. The battery has actually improved on Linux compared to Windows. Like,
What the fuck is Windows doing? Wait, I've never heard anyone say that before. What the fuck is Windows doing nowadays? Okay, either Mint is doing something incredible, or Windows is cooked.
it lasts way longer. It tells me exactly how much time I have remaining, what percentage is left. I can down the brightness right here. I don't even have to go into settings and do crazy stuff. I can turn down the backlight. And there's different modes. So this is a Mint Cinnamon thing. Mint Mate did not have these power saver balance performance modes. This is the update manager. This is how you install updates. It's really easy. You just press this button.
Maybe she had a very bloated Windows install. Also incredibly possible.
This is the start menu. I've got
I guess I can see what you're saying with it looking outdated, but like, I don't know, it looks fine to me.
Firefox software manager, which apparently you're not supposed to install software with the software manager. You're supposed
No, do not get gaslit. Use the software manager. It's okay.
to do the sudo apt install blank blank blank. That way the thing will update itself, where with the software manager you have to uninstall the old one, install the new one, and keep doing that.
No, don't be gaslit.
You don't want to do that. And then if I press alt and space, boom, my U launcher pops up.
Wow.
And with it, I can open Firefox amongst various other softwares. I could do whatever with it. It's really cool. I've been using it every night. It's my dedicated home laptop. And then my MacBook, I just keep it in the
So she never used flatback? She doesn't even know what a flatback is.
Life back to my laptop.
Gaslit about never using the software center. They're like, you have to do everything with the terminal.
So honestly, in theory, I could have saved hundreds, if not thousands of dollars by choosing Linux instead of Mac. Could have being the answer. But I paid for assurance. Knowing that I didn't have to troubleshoot random software when working, it's worth the money. I don't regret it, but I am super happy to have made the jump to Linux and being brave enough to try it. From my past month with Linux, especially Mint so far, it's surprisingly easy to use if you're willing to Google and just troubleshoot some things yourself. Maybe a decade ago, Linux was reserved for programmers and hackers of the world, but now it's much more accessible. For the longest time, I was afraid of switching to Linux. It felt like jumping off the diving board for the first time, which I did last week. You think you're gonna die, like actually just go under and die, but in reality there's just a bit of discomfort,
and then you trip and you actually do die,
and then you float back to the top, and then you're okay. Linux lets you feel like an absolute hack, unless you go, which I did last week. You think you're gonna die, like
unless you like fall off here and actually hit your head, then you will die.
Actually just go under and die, but in reality there's just a bit of discomfort, you're under the water a bit, and then you float back to the top, and then you're okay. Linux lets you feel like an absolute hacker for opening up the terminal and putting in random commands that maybe the person next to you has no idea what you're doing, and it gives you
don't do it on a plane. They'll think you're gonna try to blow the plane up.
It is as good as other people say,
or in an airport.
Options are endless, but it's not without its problems either.
Never update Arch in an airport.
With most
bad idea,
like Notion and Adobe. So before you switch to Linux, make
sure
what
was that?
With options are endless, but it's not without its problems either. Mac and Windows have so much more compatibility with most.
We get a mention of Adobe in the last 10 seconds of the video.
Programs like Notion and Adobe. So before you switch to Linux, make sure that it can do what you need it to. So if you've been looking to get into Linux, be brave. It's not as hard as you think.
I think that was like a pretty surface level video, but it was nice nonetheless. What mirror should I use at the airport? Use the Russian mirror. Make sure they know that you're using the Russian mirror. Then you can be a Russian hacker at the airport, and they will, you will definitely not get jumped on by the security. That was a nice video. It certainly wasn't like the most in-depth Linux switching video we've ever seen. But at the same time, I think it's nice when someone has like a fairly positive experience from the swap and it actually goes somewhat well. For her type of channel, it's not bad. Yeah, for like a fairly like consumer tech channel, I think it was a perfectly fine video. The PewDiePie video was special. Like, the PewDiePie video is incredible, but I don't expect everyone to go, like, as deep as PewDiePie did. Like, that's just not gonna happen. Oh. Okay, we'll watch this one. Yeah, PewDiePie went hard. PewDiePie went fucking insane with it. But I do think that for this channel, like, that was a perfectly reasonable video.